Now, today's interview is a discussion with Christian Ra, who is a spiritual teacher, healer, author, and life supporter. And the focus today is going to be on our youths and teenagers and their self-esteem and what happens to them with the issues they have from our society as they are growing up. So, Christian, thank you for coming in today.
Yes, thank you, Carolyn. Nice to be back again.
So, Christian, can you tell me why it is important to discuss this issue we have here today around our youths and teenagers?
Yeah, first of all, how I see it, the young people reflect what's actually going on in the society very well.
Okay.
And I would like to begin to explain a little bit where I'm coming from. Because this will give more understanding to the listeners, where I also see the problems rooted and how the changes, the solutions are.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knows, meanwhile, that we have an extremely high suicide rate with young people in New Zealand. We have lots of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, sexual abuse, and it's really, really increasing. And this is a very clear sign that there's something not right in our society. And this is why I find it's important that we really talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm coming as a healer, I'm coming from the understanding that when we arrive here on that planet, and when I say when we are born, we immediately come in touch with a completely different energy than we are used to.
Okay.
So when I say different energy, you need to understand that we are all souls, we are spirit, and we all have our reasons and purposes why we come here.
Okay.
We want to experience something particular. And now it starts that nobody actually understands that. So you come to parents that do not experience themselves as spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you get trained right from the beginning that you are just a human being, and this has nothing to do with spirit. So you are not supported as that spiritual being that you are. What happens through that is you have to shut down that part of yourself. And this creates lots of problems.
Okay.
I remember, and I want to add something from my own experiences, my parents were spiritually completely unaware. And I remember I withdrew from them when I was about 3 years old because I couldn't bear it.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I realized in withdrawing from them, I mean, I found out about that later when I did my first self-awareness seminars and my therapy when I was a young man, that in a way it saved me to keep the spirit alive within myself. So I could stay in touch with spirit. Yeah, and that's why I'm a spiritual teacher, so I had to do that in a way, no?
So,
but it's not an easy process.
So how do we get to experience that spiritual being that we are?
So we have to, first of all, and this is what I teach and what I show in my talks and in my workshops that I do, I show a way how you can truly remember that you are a spiritual being. It's mainly about remembering.
Okay.
And that remembering happens when then more you let go of false ideas that you carry, of who you are.
Right.
And that opens you just naturally up again to the spiritual being that you are. It's a process, but this is what I show people, how it works, and I give them all the tools exactly for that journey. And I saw that happening with very, very many people in that moment when they feel the soul that they are, when they truly experience that being that they truly are, it changes their whole life. So they start to have a completely new outlook into life. And so that spiritual side, I find it is very essential because we are that essence. This has to come back into our society. So this is what I'm working for. This is what I offer. And this is where people can meet me.
Okay.
Now, like I said, we all come with a certain purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And this purpose, we are very clear. I want to say we are very clear when we arrive what purpose it is, what we want to fulfill, what we want to live, what we want to give. But we lose it. And then more we lose it, then more we get lost.
Okay.
Yeah. We get lost in all kinds of ideas, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what would be good for us. Maybe we completely go into materialism, or we think life is just about working. So we create all kinds of ideas around life that are actually not the life that we want to live. So when you look around, most people, and this is our reality, are striving to find out all their life what they are actually here for. Yeah. And who they are.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, tell me about give me some examples of how our teenagers are reflecting our society.
Yeah. I want to see free parenting seminars. Parents don't have role models. And the expectation is that you should be able to do it alone. You should know. Just like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that creates lots of stress in the families. And it's the same like, for instance, you go into a job and you don't have the skills really, yeah? So it's very, very stressful because you do not know how. So you only learn by doing, yeah? And I see lots of damage to children could be prevented when we would have these free seminars. I want to see them everywhere, in every center, that young parents, whoever, can join in, get ideas what it actually means to be a parent.
Okay.
What is the role of a parent? How to deal with problems, and so on and so on. And then they have a good package of skills in their hand. And this makes the whole experience then to be a parent much more joyful. And that's what it is about, actually. It should be joyful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be a beautiful experience. Yeah. And not a draining experience. Yeah. But we so far we don't have these role models. Most parents, or lots of parents, also have fear of failure.
Okay.
Because they try to be good parents. And my ex-wife Nina always said, and I find she's very right, there are no good parents. This is a myth. There are only honest or dishonest parents.
Okay.
And I find this is very, very good. And also in my experience, I found this is very, very true. But it comes back then to the belief that there is good and bad.
Okay.
Yeah? And this is a big illusion. There is no good and bad. Yeah? We like things, we dislike things. We want to create more quality or whatever. But there is no good, there is no bad, and there are also no good or bad parents.
Okay.
Yeah. But I see that everywhere, especially women, that they are stuck in trying to be a good mother. And in a way, it's impossible. And this is very stressful. Yeah. What is a good mother? Everybody has other ideas about that. Yeah. There is no real good mother and not a bad mother.
Okay.
But that comes back to the seminars that I want to see, that you just learn as much as possible skills, and that allows you then also to give your child as much as possible and what it really needs. And to give your child what it truly needs, you, as a parent, you need to have the ability to see your child, the being that your child represents. And your child is a unique being. It's a unique soul. And your child's needs might be completely different than your needs. So it's very important to grow into that state of openness that you truly can see your child.
Okay.
And how I see parenting, parenting is just a supporter role. You allow another soul to come here into that dimension, through that unity between man and woman, and then you say yes to support that being on its journey. Now, I want to come to another very important area that's related to parenting, but not only to parenting.
Okay.
And where I want to start is, we are, and this makes us so special in the human experience, as humans, we are emotional beings.
Okay.
So our main life source is emotion, energy in motion. Now what happens, and you see that everywhere, that certain emotions are not okay. So there are a lot of restrictions around emotions.
Okay.
Yeah. Most children learn that right from the beginning, that these feelings are not suitable, these feelings shouldn't be these feelings. And most of the time it's just the feelings that the parents cannot handle, or the parents itself are not allowed to feel. And this is what you do in therapy then. So I went into that self-awareness therapy process when I was 18. And the first 2 years was mainly around what I took on board from my parents. And the realization, who is me and who are them? What is their stuff? What is my stuff?
Okay.
Yeah. What they want to live, their values, what are my values?
Okay.
So I reclaimed these parts of myself in that process. And as I'm talking about, this is another thing that I want to see in our society, that these seminars, self-awareness seminars with very good trained therapists, are a natural, free to access part in our society.
Okay.
Yeah. And also especially for young people, because like in my experience, they gained in a sense of, who am I?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they know who they are, then more they know who they are, they can walk their path.
So it helps them to find themselves.
They don't need to rebel anymore. They don't need to go into destruction, and whatever is related to that. So I want to see that also implemented in our society. Yeah.
Okay.
But free access. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No strings attached.
Okay, thanks for that, Christian. So can you tell me about what sort of influences do you feel our society has on teenagers and for them to feel the way they do about themselves.
When you grow up and as a young man, as a young woman, you want to test your limits, and you need to. You need to find out what you can and what you can't do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very, very natural process. So, and what I want to see in our society, that there are areas where the young people have a space where they can play around and experiment with their vehicles. Yeah, in a safe environment.
Okay.
That they can find out what they can and cannot do. What can a car do and what a car can't do. Yeah.
Yep.
It's and this is also increasing their self-esteem, because they are in touch what's possible and what's not. Yeah. And these little simple things, if we implement it in our society, let's say, for instance, the Dunedin Council would set up an area now for the young people. I would love to see that, where they all can go with their cars. They can go fast. Yeah, they can experiment, and maybe there are adults who advise them a little bit, give them some ideas. Yeah, but they are free to experiment.
So they can...
what they otherwise have to do out on the roads, and that's a bit dangerous, as we all know. Yeah.
So they can express themselves openly without being told what they're doing is bad or wrong.
And to find out. Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about that. When children get to that stage of wanting to commit suicide.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that I talk about that. I was on the verge when I was about 18 to commit suicide.
Okay.
So I know how it feels, that space that just might lead you into that next step, to commit suicide.
So what was it that you felt led you to that?
I felt, it felt like there is nothing makes sense. Yeah. Complete senseless. Everything didn't make sense at all. No idea of where I want to go. No guidance from my parents, no guidance from school or anything, just hanging out with my friends, but they had the same difficulties. So, a feeling, a real deep sense of being lost, what I'm here for. It's just a feeling of everything is just crap. So, and that led me into that state. It was actually a state of deep depression.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the schools that you were at the time? How were they for you?
That's good that we talk about that. I mean, the first 4 years in school, they were playful. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was like, having fun. Yeah, it was like having fun and learning. And then when I changed into high school, when I was 12, everything changed for me. The pressure started to kick in. The teachers, they pressured you all the time. They were very rude because they were so much under pressure themselves. There was no playfulness anymore. And I was so overwhelmed with stuff that I should learn that I was not interested at all to learn. So, and what I chose then is to not learn anything at all anymore. This was my way out.
Okay.
I didn't want to be in school anymore. I mean, it created quite a lot of problems for me, But at the same time, again, this was the only way that was available for me, because I felt this is so wrong. What's going on here? And this is another thing, as you touch on the school system, there are some really good examples in the world how children can be taught in schools in a free way. So I embrace very much the Montessori system.
Okay.
My second daughter, she was mainly in Montessori schools. And the mindset is that a child knows exactly what it wants to learn. And the teachers are only there to support, to bring that out in the child.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for instance, Laura, when she came into the Montessori school, the first 6 months, she was only sitting on the sofa and reading books. And no one pressured her that she should learn something.
Okay.
And then she started naturally to get interested into things. And in that moment, the teacher stepped in and provided everything for her interest. This was their role. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I want to see. This is what I want to see as natural in our schooling system. There's another, and there's also some listeners might be interested to read about it. There's a school in England. I think it exists more than 30 years. It's called Summerhill. They work under the same principle. So the teachers have to provide an interesting class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
If no one comes, it's fine.
Mm.
Yeah. And then the teachers know this was not very interesting. They have to make some improvements here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
And I think just a year ago, I saw a study because someone was very interested. How did these kids do then after they grew up in society? Because there were always these fears around, oh my God, they are stupid and they're not intelligent enough. They don't have discipline and so on and so on. Lots of them are in the most high-ranking positions because they are free.
Okay.
And when you are free, you're creative. Yeah.
So sort of free to choose when they would like to do the creative things for themselves.
It's an inner freedom that they know themselves. Yeah. They were able to stay free, to explore who they are, what their qualities are. And so they are so in touch with that they are in high-ranking positions because also in the business world, they found out they are so creative that they always find solutions in everything. They are fast. They are all over the place. So it's exactly the other way around, no?
Okay. So what do you feel needs to happen with our school system, with the way it is at present?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that there's anything there that needs to change for our teenagers?
I mean, what I talked about right now is the change. This is the change.
Okay, so what would you like to see?
So that needs, but this is an awareness process. It's a step into a new awareness. And the main awareness is that a being knows exactly what it wants to learn.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is a state of trust. And our school system works with what should a child learn.
Okay.
So, and when you're overwhelmed with stuff like I experienced it, with stuff that you don't want to learn, yeah, it takes you away from your own way. Yeah, maybe someone is only interested, let's say, in art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then everything should be provided for the child that it can explore that. Yeah?
Okay.
And I'm not saying that it shouldn't learn counting and all the basic things that we need in our daily life. Yeah, in a playful way. Wonderful. Yeah, but this has to be the main focus then for the child. And this is what I want to see. These are the changes. This would also require that the teachers have to be trained in that way. Yeah. Now, what I see also in the schooling system is that the teachers themselves, they are so much under pressure from the ministry, what they have to fulfill, that they also cannot look after the children properly anymore. Yeah? On a personal level. Yeah. And that also leads into more stress for the teachers, more stress for the pupils. And the outcome is also that the young people feel more alienated. They feel, wow, they are treated like a computer here. Yeah, they should be a machine.
Okay.
Yeah? And they are not a human being anymore.
Okay, we're just going to have, thank you for that, Christian. We're just going to have another music break now, and then we'll be coming back with Christian Ra, who is a teacher, healer, author, and life supporter, and who is discussing today issues over learning self-awareness and self-help on all levels for our youths and teenagers. Now, Christian, you've talked about a few things that you would like to see offered in our community, but what else would you like to see provided for our youth and teenagers?
To answer that, I want to tell a little story. I lived for nearly 2 years in Hawke's Bay, and at that time there was a big problem with graffiti. How do you say graffiti?
Graffiti.
Graffiti,
yep.
okay.
Graffiti.
I always say it the wrong way.
How they write it on the walls and everything, yep.
Exactly. And they sprayed everything. And then there was big discussion in the newspaper, and more rules and more regulations. And the shops shouldn't be allowed to sell the spray cans anymore to young people. And it was big, no? But it was all about, we need now more rules and regulations.
Okay.
So, and I felt, wow, actually there's nobody who understands the need of the young people behind what they are doing. Yeah. And it's just a form how they wanted to express themselves.
Okay.
But they had no room for it.
Right.
Yeah. There was nothing provided.
They took it
so
away.
So they sprayed the walls. Yeah. They sprayed whatever they could find. And then I stepped into that discussion, and I was very happy that I could have some influence. And the influence showed up then that the council provided for the young people some buildings in an industrial area. It was actually quite an area where they were free to express themselves with graffiti. So they could go there anytime. And this, interestingly, it turned out for them into a real art form. They had open air exhibitions then. The adults started to come.
Okay.
And they looked at it.
Okay.
Yeah? So there was a real process going on then, yeah? And the young people, they started to feel acknowledged in their needs.
Okay.
And that made the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is the point when, especially as a young person, when your needs are not matched by society, you're more a cast out. Yeah. That turns ugly. Naturally.
Right.
So the question for me is always, what is the need behind it? Yeah, whatever comes. And I pointed out before with racing, so-called boy racing, what is the need behind it? And when this is understood,
right,
and that need is addressed, and the surrounding, the room for that need can be fulfilled, is provided, the problem is over.
I think, I was about to say to you, well, what sort of guidance do you feel that we need to give our teenagers? But I think what's coming up for me here is maybe what sort of guidance do we need to give our older generation so that they'll understand our teenagers?
Exactly. And also, what guidance do we need to give our councils? Yeah, because they provide it. Yeah. And more rules and regulations, in my opinion and in my experience, it doesn't work. Yeah, it creates only more restriction, and then more restricted people feel, then more violence flares up just naturally, because we are free beings and we want to be free. Yeah, and when the boundaries of society provide that, and there are some boundaries needed, absolutely, yeah. But they need to be loose, they need to be flexible, and the needs of the members of the society, they always need to be addressed first. And this is where the young people, they rebel against that because they don't have it.
Right. So what do you feel was needed there for the older generation to understand that?
I would say remind yourself, what did you do? How you were as a young being? What did you go through? I remind myself again and again. When I see someone racing down the road and it really looks dangerous, so one part of me says, it gets really angry, yeah. And on the other hand, I also remember how I was.
Yeah. Yep.
And most of us did this, just did naturally these things because we wanted to find out our boundaries, our limits. Yeah. If there would have been an area, like I said, it would be lovely to have an area. If there would have been in my time an area where I could have raced around with a car and explored, I would have done that. Okay, but there was none, so I did it on the highway. Yeah. So it's the same here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so are there any things that you would like to offer yourself in regards to helping our youths and teenagers of today?
Yeah, I mean, what I offer is the healing work that I do, the healing work for families, the working with my guide, the readings that I do with my guide, the help that I can give families, young people in that sense. What I also provide, and I find this is very essential, are the talks and the workshops. And I mean, we started our discussion when I talked about the soul awareness, and that I find this is essential to create a more healthy society. And these talks and workshops are named Awaken to Your True Self, Journey into the Soul.
Okay.
These are one-day workshops. And in that one-day workshop, you really gain an understanding through experiencing what it means to be a soul. And for instance, when just if there would be parents and they would touch on the soul that they are, this is immense. This is something what they then also can give their children. Yeah, so it has a huge effect in all areas of life.
So when you talk about a healthy society, what sort of things are you meaning there? Having a more healthy society?
Yeah, a healthy society, in my view, is a society where spirit is the essence, the awareness that we are all spiritual beings here for a purpose. And that then more that awareness streams into a society, you see yourself in a new way and you see others in a new way.
Okay.
And when you can see another being as the soul that being represents, tolerance and understanding is just a natural outcome of that. So we have to grow out of these boundaries of the beliefs that we are just human beings. This is very, very essential, I find.
So what would that look like?
Well, when you experience yourself as a soul, it is you are just complete joy. You are bliss. You are open. You are flowing. And in the same way you treat others.
And we're more what in ourselves? More.
It's a bit like, I give you an example. Let's say you only saw yourself as a tiny bush all your life. And in a sudden, you can experience that you are a beautiful, tall tree.
Okay, so we mature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what maturity is.
Okay.
A mature being for me is someone who knows who he or she is, not more, not less.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not mature to have lots of money. It's not mature to drive the fast car. It's not mature to be this or that or famous or whatever. It's the inner knowing who you are. This is a mature being.